Hey, we're live. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Twitter. We're here live with Andrew Yang. We're hanging with Yang today.
Really, we're hanging with Erica. That's really what's going on. People are like, Yang Smang.
No, but seriously, it is going to be a snow day tomorrow. We're 2 weeks into the campaign. How are you feeling? What do you think? What do you think about what's been going on? What are some of your highlights so far from these 2 weeks?
Really, the highlight is anytime I get out into our neighborhoods or communities, people are really happy to see me, which is very invigorating and heartwarming. And it's like, oh, like, that's fantastic. I had a very, very cute group of young people when I was walking home the other day, and they were at one of those outdoor dining cubbies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were so happy to see me, and they got a picture with me, and they were like, this is the best celebrity sighting ever. And it was very touching. I was like, wow, standards have dropped here in New York in terms of celebrity sightings.
That's awesome. I'm sure that's awesome. I'm sure the kids love seeing you in person. Very exciting. Oh, just a reminder to everyone. We are here in a COVID safe room because this morning I was able to go get a test and I am COVID safe. So just for those who are very COVID aware, I want you to know that that is the case here. So,
negative tests all the
tests.
time. I got tested
Good.
yesterday. It was negative.
Yeah.
So
we're unmasked and we're safe. So Andrew, what else has been an impact for you so far? What else has maybe impacted a little bit of policy that you've gone through?
Yeah, it's been great putting out aspects of our vision for New York City. And right now, I'll tell you what's on my mind, Erica, is that this vaccine rollout has not been going very well here in New York City. And the first big problem was a lack of supply, which caused people to cancel a bunch of appointments out of various city-run sites. But then when they did get supply this past weekend, I had several people notify me that there were dozens of workers and hundreds of doses and 5 or 10 patients, and that they were all there saying, where are the patients? And then to make matters worse, when they said, hey, can we contact patients? Because these were healthcare workers that had relationships in the communities. They could get people in, and they were told no. And I thought that was so infuriating because one, at this point, time is of the essence. Yeah. And if you waste time at the margins, you're probably costing someone their health and maybe even life. And at this point, if you're going to err in a direction, you should be erring on the side of overbooking and maximal output, and then maybe frustrating some people, rather than having doses just lying there. And I'm happy to say that it's not like the doses necessarily go to waste, because they obviously keep for a little while. But again, time is of the essence. So I'm very, very frustrated by this. And I'm so glad that a reporter caught wind of it, because it was happening in multiple sites in the city. And it was a result of, in my mind, a misguided policy on the part of DOH-MH, where they were trying to keep these sites from being overwhelmed, but instead they were underwhelmed, which I'm going to say is possibly a bigger problem. And the worst part is that they weren't able to remediate it themselves, where, it's like, again, it's like, okay, like what I was arguing is like, look, the directive should be maximize output. If you get there and you have, let's call it, 500 doses you can administer, let's make sure they get administered. And if that includes just going out to the street and being like, hey, anyone want to get vaccinated, and you should do that. It's like you can't be wasting time. So there were so many problems in this process, and it's very, very frustrating. There are a lot of folks in New York that have lost loved ones, or have high risk loved ones, or are just waiting to, for us to try and accelerate our recovery. And then seeing this kind of screw up, it's very maddening.
Yeah, it's got to be disheartening for other folks looking for solutions for this problem, and it's just not happening the way it should.
Well, so I think it's like a part of this larger phenomenon, Erica. And, a lot of it we could put at the foot of Trump, because Trump has definitely screwed things up to a mammoth degree, and we're still trying to untangle it. But just like that, our bureaucracies function so poorly,
Mhm.
and that everyone looks around and it's like we're supposed to accept crappy performance. And then, I think I said something a little while ago. It's like, I'm tired of hearing people explain why we couldn't do something or we couldn't get something done. Like that kind of thing is very, very frustrating. And it's become such an endemic part of American life at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's why we want you to
I,
succeed.
so I did imagine, I was like, if I were mayor right now, this would be front and center for me because it's like literally, it's like the vaccine. I mean, it's like your pathway out. So I would be at vaccination centers being like, okay, what's going on here? And then if I saw that there was unused capacity, I would be like, we need to fill this place up ASAP. And then I would do that with each center. And if you were to even just send out a public call saying, hey, guess what? Here are vaccination centers, you can come get vaccinated. You mean like that probably wouldn't be wise just to put it out to the public like that, because then you genuinely would be overwhelmed. But you could get people that pick up that capacity like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I understand the desire to target particular populations, at higher levels. And there's another thing that came out about this rollout is that it's vastly racially unequal, which is probably not shocking to most people. But then if you're going to have it be vastly racially unequal, then you probably should try and recalibrate. So an example would be right now, I think they have like an age guideline where you need to be 65 and over to be part of like the first couple of groups. So maybe just lower it to 55 in like an all Black neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like I mean that might get people.
That makes way too much sense.
So that's something. So we'll have some announcements about this. Just trying to point people in a direction where it's like, look, we could be doing better than this. But I genuinely think that like this stuff to me is like mission critical, and that if there's anything you should be paying attention to right now, it's your vaccine rollout.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we're doing today is Andrew is talking to donors. I have a call here. I'm going to unmute and hand you the phone. This is Sarah from Brooklyn.
Oh, I'm calling Sarah?
Yeah, should be on speaker. Are you there, Sarah?
Hello.
Hi, Sarah. It's Andrew Yang. How are you?
Oh my God. Hi. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm also doing great. And I'm super grateful to you for donating to the campaign. It means a ton to me and the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, I've been donating to your campaign. I mean, I know you're running for mayor now, but I've donated to your campaign since like the first 65,000 for your presidential campaign.
Oh wow, those were great times. You're like a super early adopter, then, Sarah. You're like an OG. Yeah,
absolutely. I saw you speak when you were doing a podcast interview once, actually.
Oh, that's so fun. Did you and I meet?
Yeah.
Would I remember?
I don't think you'd remember. We didn't meet. I was wearing my mask thingy, but you got swarmed by the crowd, which was super exciting. But
well, hopefully we can get back to an environment where people actually can gather in crowds, and we can have a good time. So grateful to you. You're an early adopter. I hope that you're excited about this mayoral run because I think we can do a lot of good here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the city, unfortunately, has been absolutely ravaged by this pandemic. So really, when I heard that you were running, it was like, oh, that makes sense. He's really the only one that can help put the city back into a pre-COVID state.
I'm going to do my best, Sarah, but we couldn't do it without your help and people like you. So thank you so much. Please do spread the word to friends and let them know that even $10 is immensely meaningful. Particularly if they're here in New York, because of the magic of matching. It's extraordinary how powerful small dollar donations are in this race.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm getting on all of my friends and family to donate for sure.
Well, you are incredible. I don't know how we called someone who's specifically so awesome. Maybe my team works some magic.
So plugged in.
But hopefully I'll have a chance to meet you in person sometime soon.
That would be amazing. I look forward to meeting you in the post-pandemic world.
Me too. Let's try and get there as quickly as possible. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah, she's just like one of the early adopters. some of the things that are cool about people that are that active. They keep coming back. They really do.
Well, certainly, I think when someone first suggested I run for mayor of New York City, they were driven by the fact that we had tens of thousands of donors here in New York, which it's a great place to start. So thank you, Sarah, and thank you to everyone else who's donating. Yeah, that's really.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
And that's really what today is about. This live stream is just about thanking donors and letting you know how important it is. Like every donation really, really matters. I will say that this mayoral run has a different scale than the presidential, which is totally cool. You might have noticed it from the progress meter, where back in the day, I think our progress meters were, targeting like $1 million in a certain time frame, and on this one we're targeting 200K, which is one reason why any donation that people make is really, really crucial.
Yes.
Because these local races are at a different scale. And it's exciting. Like, it's exciting that we're going to be able to do so much good for so many people here in New York if we just rally folks and get the resources to make the case. And I think that we're going to be very well positioned. I'm optimistic that we're going to have more small dollar donors than any other campaign. Thanks to each and every one of you. So thank you. People like Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah. And the public matching. How about that?
Yeah, that 8-to-1 match. I mean, it's very powerful. You give $15, then the city gives 120. So, I give 10, the city gives 80.
Yeah, unparalleled. That's pretty cool. It's almost like what do we call it during the
democracy dollars?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
democracy dollars would have been a bomb.
That would have been, but it's kind of neat to see this in practice.
Yeah, there's some elements of the New York City race that I think are very powerful. The public matching, very powerful, and then ranked choice voting, very powerful.
Yeah, that's exciting. You don't have to be mean in a race. You want to have all the supporters support. First, second choice. It's wonderful. Hopefully, people will stick with that.
Well, it's a tough dynamic for some of the other campaigns because they're like, well, we're sunk if we don't try and drag Yang's numbers down somewhat. So
yeah, very true.
So even in a ranked choice voting, it doesn't do away with it entirely because in this kind of situation, political incentives actually are
important.
I wish it were true with this, but ranked choice voting generally does weaken the incentives to be negative.
So we do have a guest to come on with us right now, and let's see, is he ready to be?
Wow.
Hey, there he is.
Wow,
Chris
guys,
Coffey.
this is this is my first time joining the Yang Gang. It's maybe the most exciting thing I've done all month.
Welcome, Yang Gang loves you.
Well, I love the Yang Gang despite my shot going up because my kids have forced me into a closet and there's nowhere else I can do the Zoom as many people can hopefully.
We've all been in the closet, Chris.
We've all been in the closet.
2021. The closet has been our home for Zoom many a time.
Yeah, my favorite is and my favorite is Andrew doing calls from one of his son's beds, sort of turned upside down on these calls. So this is at least not quite as bad as that.
That's true. I have lowered the bar for all of us, Chris. I have made it so that people's professionalism can favorably compare to my own. That's how you set the tone.
How great was Sarah? How great was Sarah? Sarah was so great. And Sarah lives in Brooklyn. That's amazing. I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, me too. Let's make that happen. So Chris, there are a lot of folks here watching today who are very interested in the campaign, the ins and outs, the mechanics, and you and I talk about this, where we think some of the things that people are craving right now, it's one, just an accelerated path to recovery. And I think that this is where my heart and head naturally lie. And then two, just trying to cheerlead for New York City and get people feeling good about it, because there's just a lot of nastiness and doom and gloom. And some of it is, warranted based upon the situation that people find ourselves in. But I think that many New Yorkers are looking for a source of optimism and can do, and an end to some of like the political tit for tat.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, there are some other great folks who are running in the race. They've spent years and years in government service, most of them. And Andrew offers something different. And I think elections are supposed to be about choices, where if you want someone who has been an insider and worked in government for years and years and years, Andrew's probably not your candidate. If you're looking for someone who has fresh ideas and comes from starting his own small business and having championed a major public policy that is now spread across the country, then Andrew you are probably their candidate. And I think having these choices is really, really great for folks, even if there are people who get anxious about those ideas and don't totally understand them. And therefore, Erica said this was going to be a nice election. I heard her say that, and I was like, wow. I can't wait till that starts.
Can only
but
hope.
No, I mean, yeah, one can only hope. Yeah. Starting today. No, I think we're going to run a really positive campaign, and I'm really excited about someone who is talking about his vision for New York moving forward, and not necessarily looking at other folks' issues.
Yeah, I think that's what folks really want, is just like a positive vision for the city that they can see themselves in, that they actually believe in and trust. And also that it's born of a person's conviction, and not that we put up a trial balloon and like try to see which way the wind would favor. A lot of the time we're just going to do what we think is right for the city, and I think that's what a lot of New Yorkers crave right now.
Yeah, I think authenticity trumps everything else. And even, before you were running, people would talk about lanes. Like there's this progressive lane, and there's a right progressive lane, there's a moderate Dem lane. And the lanes aren't where people are. I mean, you happen to be very progressive on many, many things, but real people don't usually fall into lanes on everything. There are individual things that come up. Their life offers different things. And I think authenticity trumps everything else. And I think when you're out on the street, it is remarkable, whether we're in the South Bronx or Canarsie or Morningside Heights or any of the many places that we have been, people are honking their horns and coming across the street and saying, "Where's my $1,000?" and "Thank you for Georgia." And the kind of awareness of a mayor's candidate is pretty different. I mean, you really don't see that with. And I've worked on other mayoral campaigns, so not even to compare it to this crop, but you don't see that in the past campaigns either, even when you're closer to the election. And so I think that speaks for excitement and people wanting someone who's going to come and really champion the city in a way that we really have not had quite as much of over the last 7 or 8 years, and even for a long time.
Well, the energy is clear that we have more than 2,000 volunteers, so thank you so much.
3,000.
Is it up to 3,000? Like
3,100.
3,100. Imagine that 3,100 New Yorkers have raised their hand and said, "I want to help out." So that can be registering voters, reaching out to folks, flyering. I was in the Bronx flyering with some volunteers the other day. It's actually pretty fun, like giving out flyers with your own face on it. You've
got some subway stops this week, which we're going to do, I think, which I'm excited about, hitting people as they go to work. I mean, part of your message of how we get people kind of safely back to work, which is really, really important. And I think people are looking for that right now, as long as we can do it safely and in a way that gets people excited about their city again.
Yeah, it was great to see even that energy of that group of volunteers, where you're outdoors, you're wearing a mask. It's like it is cold, but yeah, there's like a lot of love, a lot of warmth, and I think that if you're a New Yorker and you see this, you think like, wow, like these are people who care enough about whatever they're doing to like give me this piece of literature or whatever it is, and it really makes an impression. So appreciate all the volunteers. Love being there with you all. I wish I could be there for every single one, but I'm trying to be at as many as possible. And that's the kind of energy I think New York really craves right now. Again, it's like that can-do spirit. Yeah, and so the volunteers, thank you. And each individual small donor, thank you as well. Again, this is like a great opportunity. You give $10 to this campaign and it's meaningful, it's awesome. Particularly if you're a New Yorker. If you're a New Yorker, then it like revs up. But even if you're not a New Yorker, you give $10, it's actually very impactful in this race. So yeah, like please do make this campaign your own to say like, hey, you know what? I'd much rather see Yang win this race than not win this race. Make me feel better about the prospects for New York. And let's do it. Like this is a race where you can really have a meaningful impact.
For sure. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you put a donation out right now, why don't you tag on Twitter, tag Chris. Let us know that you did it during this segment. That'd be awesome.
Wow, a Chris Coffey dedication.
I already have like other Yang Gang folks, and I do want to say to the Yang Gang, many of whom have like welcomed me into the Yang Gang, so thank you for that. There's at least one Twitter, like not me on Twitter, that's like a Yang Gang Chris Coffey talk like fun Twitter thing, which I think is great. Not even me, but I really do appreciate all of the folks and the love on Twitter. I have not seen so many warm and welcoming folks about a New York City mayor's race, and I think that is probably very unique to this campaign, but super exciting. So thank you, and to all the donors. We're excited to have a lot of donors, and that's because of people who are engaged in this race, engaged in Andrew, and we're going to do our best to make sure he and you and all of us win, and that you can be proud of that.
Awesome.
Thank you. So look at that. Chris is feeling the Yang Gang love. But those of you who are excited about this campaign, like, does Chris not seem like just like a very, very clear-eyed, clear-thinking, clear-speaking person? He's very, very Yang Gang, actually.
Yes.
He's like he's extraordinarily lucid. He's just like I find working with him to be extraordinarily positive and easy and seamless. So I hope hearing from Chris gets you all more excited. We're going to hear from Sasha, who's equally awesome in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow Chris on Twitter if you want to be part of his comms. What are you on Twitter, Chris?
Chris Coffey Talk.
Chris Coffey Talk. Apparently there's a fake Chris Coffey Talk, but then there's a real one. You'll be able to figure it out. You all are very bright.
Yeah. Mine says Andrew Yang and something else on it. So there you go.
Thanks, Chris, for being here with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everyone else. Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you later. All right, we got another donor call.
Oh, let's do it. I love this.
Yeah. This is Curtis, and he is also from Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. Brooklyn in the house. Hey, Curtis, you there?
Hey there. Yeah, is it Andrew?
Yes, it is. Curtis, thank you so much. You're a rock star.
Hey, of course. I'm happy to. I appreciate you calling.
Oh, I appreciate you. So you're on a live stream, so there are probably X thousand people listening right now. So keep it clean. No, I'm kidding.
He's not kidding.
No, I mean, he can curse. It's the internet. Like, whatever. The process is great, thanks to people like you. We are having a lot of fun. But yeah, like folks like you and Sarah, who we called earlier, are the lifeblood of this campaign. So just super grateful to you, Curtis. How did you, like, have you been aware of me since the presidential, or is it more recent?
Yeah, I think like a lot of other people, the Joe Rogan podcast was my first exposure, but I actually got to see you very briefly in person at the Consensus New York cryptocurrency.
Sure, yeah, those are good times.
I actually work in the crypto space, so it was great seeing you there. I was already a fan before that, but even bigger fan now. And when I heard you were running for mayor in New York, which we desperately need a new mayor, in my opinion, I was super pumped. So yeah, I'd love to get more involved, even beyond just that one donation, and looking forward to seeing where this all goes.
Well, thank you, Curtis. Really appreciate it. Excited about your community. I remember that conference well. Please do let other folks who are like-minded know about the campaign, because I think we've got a really great chance to win and have a positive impact in New York. I think that the opportunity here is enormous, but the opportunity really only exists because of people like you. So thank you. And yeah, I think there are some really interesting things we can do around digital currencies and trying to keep more of the value flowing to locally owned small businesses. I've got some ideas on that front.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. We'd love to learn about that as we go. And yeah, you know, obviously New York is a financial center. I think it's gonna, you know, it will remain, but I think how the city welcomes and allows, you know, decentralized and more open finance to flourish will be important as we go forward to maintain its sort of status as the mecca of the financial world. So yeah, looking forward to see how we can continue to be friendly and open and encourage innovation in this space.
Yeah, you and me both, man. A couple of the numbers that got me excited. If New York City were a country, it would be the 11th biggest economy in the world, which gives you the scale and diversity to be able to do some really interesting things. And another number that shocked me, but also presents an opportunity, is that 12% of New Yorkers are unbanked, as in they don't even have a bank account. So you talk about like this being the world's financial center, and you have almost 1 million New Yorkers who are paying thousands of dollars a year to check cashers and money lenders and pawn shops. So there are like some real opportunities here for us to improve people's lives.
I totally agree. Yeah, those are crazy stats.
Crazy stats, right? We'll be in touch soon, Curtis. Let's win this thing, and really appreciate the heck out of you.
Of course, you too. Thanks for the call, Andrew. Good luck.
See you soon, Curtis.
I'll be cheering for you and helping out.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Awesome. Bye-bye. All right. Wow. Exciting. Brooklyn. I got another one for you here. This is Bodie. He's also in New York.
Ooh, what part? Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Hey, Bodie, it's Andrew Yang.
Andrew, it's such an honor to be talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. The honor's all mine, Bertie.
No, absolutely. I want to tell you a couple of things. First of all, I'm 100% behind you. I think you're going to become the most incredible mayor this city has ever seen.
Wow. Thank you.
And I want to tell you that, fortunately, I'm very, very poor, so I could only donate a cup of coffee value to you. But if I had $1 million, I would give it to you.
Oh, no. I really appreciate you doing anything at all, Brody. And so thank you.
I want to let you know also that seeing that I can't really contribute much financially, but I have two skills that possibly could be of good use to you. One is I'm really, really good at creating appealing stories from a point of view of presentation that can steer emotions in the viewer if you ever need anything of that kind. And the other is that I'm very strong in strategic thinking. So, and I'm most willing to donate my time. If you ever have any need for any of those two skills, please don't hold back from calling me.
Well, thank you, Brody. That's immensely generous of you and meaningful. Would love.
I'm sure you have great people around you.
No, I mean, we have great people like you around me. You know what I mean? It's like people like you, again, that are fueling this campaign.
As I said, unfortunately, I can't contribute much economically, financially, but I'm most willing to give you some of my time if that could be of any help.
Yeah. The heart and soul is the most meaningful thing. I'm sure that a lot of like the volunteers we have may be similarly situated. If you reach out to Trip at yang4ny.com, he's something of our volunteer coordinator, along with Erica. You guys kind of divide and conquer. But I'm just going to give you Trip's email address. It's trip at yang4ny.com.
Hold on. Let me take it out.
Oh, yeah, sure thing.
How do you spell his name?
It's Trip, like the word TRIP.
Mm-hmm.
P for Papa, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's Trip at
yang4ny.com.
Got it. Okay, I'll send him an email and make him aware.
Yeah.
Please do, Brody. And thank you so much for believing in me and this campaign. And I hope to live up to your confidence. I will say that I think no matter who the next mayor is, I think it's going to be a tough time for New York. I think I can improve it.
In fact, I was going to just tell you one last thing before we part.
Oh, sure thing.
You have this like incredibly beautiful side that is so transparent and honest, and I think people are just gonna melt listening to you.
Oh wow, that's so nice.
But I hope that you prepare for a freaking tough battle. It ain't gonna be easy.
Yeah, well, I think, Brody, actually, one of the big elements of this race is that New Yorkers want to know that I have the mettle to be mayor, because I think it's going to be an extraordinarily challenging job in an extraordinarily challenging time.
Because the situation in the city is not easy. I mean,
yeah,
I've been in New York for 30 years in and out, and it has changed incredibly in the last 2 years alone.
Yeah, so I think this is like an entirely legitimate aspect of everything, where like you need to be very tough to be the mayor of this town in any circumstance at any time, but like this time in particular. So I think that folks, just want that degree of confidence and reassurance.
Surrounded by this poisoning atmosphere that comes from Washington, and it doesn't stop even with Biden winning, which made me so happy. But I mean, the situation is still poisonous down there, and the wording and everything that comes out of still all these Republicans and everything, it's like polluting the mind of the people.
I certainly agree with you that there's a lot of mind pollution going on out there, Brody. I hope that we can become something of like a counterweight, an antidote to it. I mean, that's a very tall order, but I genuinely think that's what we need.
Yeah.
For sure.
We need like mind anti-pollutants, like like I'll have to figure out what the heck that looks like. I mean, aside from putting out positive messages, which like is pretty straightforward, but we're gonna need more than that, because one of the things that that folks have pointed out about social media is that untruth spreads 6 times more quickly and powerfully than fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true about negative sentiment too, where
Remember that it is in the human nature, unfortunately, that it has catapulted 10 million times lately, but it's in human nature to complain. People always love to complain. And if they don't have anything to complain, they complain about somebody.
That's very wise, Brody. He's a very wise man.
Very wise.
You're fighting these currents that are so annoying, because also a lot of the people that complain don't really base their complaint on factual stuff, on intelligent opinions. So it becomes a little tricky, though.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're like super skilled in dealing with that.
Oh, you're very wise, Brody. We're going to do our best. Appreciate the heck out of you. Please do reach out to Trip, and thank you for believing in me in this campaign. It means a ton.
Thank you, Brody.
No, believe me when I tell you, I'm the one thanking you for taking on this challenge.
Thank you, Brody.
Thank my wife is what I say. Thanks, Brody.
All right.
Because it really is like, I mean,
Bye-bye.
Thank you. My family really is like the rock of the whole thing. I mean, my boys less so. My boys are kind of oblivious, but Evelyn, like that, Evelyn's really the champ.
She's amazing, and I've heard you say many times this race is better because you get to spend more time with them.
Yeah, that's true. I just saw them. I mean, it's very exciting. So that part is vastly superior.
Yeah, we have another guest.
Oh, who's that?
We have Sasha. She's with us.
Yay, Sasha!
Yay, Sasha! Hi there. Good to see
Hey,
you.
everyone. Happy
Hey,
Sunday.
everyone, Yang Gang, meet Sasha Ahuja. She's the co-head of the campaign, and she's the policy wonk, the head policy wonk. And she's done more deep thinking about policy in New York City than just about anyone. So super grateful to her for pointing us in the right direction over and over again. I learned so much from Sasha, and I learn more every day. She's both wise and smart. And then when I talk to her, I feel like a bit of her wisdom and smartness rubs off on me a little bit. So welcome, Sasha.
That means so much. Thank you for that very warm intro.
No problem. And Sasha is also on Twitter. You haven't noticed her to the same extent as Chris.
It's true.
But you can find her.
It's true. You can. It's a version of my last name, at Ahuji, Ahuji. So my brother is very tall. He's Big Hooge, and I'm very short, and so Ahuji fits better. So you can find me that way. But really glad to be with you. I
didn't even know that story, Sasha. Jeez.
We're still getting to know each other, so but it's been great so far. And thanks for having me.
That was the kind of deep personal thing that you might not find out about someone for a while. So I think one of our goals is for you to help shine a light on some of our policy positions, either that we've already announced or maybe something that we're working on. One thing that I know you and I are both excited about is this public banking proposal that is going to come out. So confession, it was supposed to come out early this week, but then there's a blizzard, which makes it like not conducive for live press conferences and whatnot. Don't want people to be like putting themselves in harm's way in any way. So we can talk about that. We can also talk earlier today, Sasha, I was talking about, let's actually talk about this because it's probably more direct and current. We're talking about my frustrations around this vaccine rollout. There are at least two components. One is that there's unused capacity on a daily basis in some of these locations, which is incredibly frustrating. And then the other frustration is that to the extent that people are getting the vaccine, they are disproportionately white and not reflective of the composition of the city, despite the fact that the fatality rates among Black New Yorkers and New Yorkers of color has been significantly higher than it has been for white New Yorkers for a variety of reasons. So we're hoping to change both those things.
We are. I'm so glad that we are, unfortunately, today's announcement is like so much of what we've seen out of the city's response to the vaccine, where we know consistently communities of color are left behind. And to me, systemic problems require systemic solutions. And so I'm really excited that we've already rolled out a vaccine plan that starts to build capacity for really centering equity. We've talked about the mental health response that we need to make sure is so part and parcel to how we're addressing COVID recovery moving forward. So many folks have dealt with all sorts of loss, of course, loss of life, loss of experiences, and are not getting the consistent support that school or therapy or just a return to what we consider to be normal can offer. And so we started talking about that. And we've already very much so at our forefront talked about racial equity in healthcare delivery. And so today's news, unfortunately, is not surprising to so many of us. I'm really proud of the work that we've started, but of course that public health experts in our city have been calling on government to do to truly center equity in our response. And so together, I know we're going to continue to put out progressive and proactive plans to get real solutions in people's hands right away.
Yeah, one thing I'm super excited about is amending the charter for the DOH, and others to try and address the racial inequities. And one reason why I'm super excited about it is because that to me is like the low-hanging fruit that you can kind of make progress on quickly. If you have people dying a decade earlier in certain neighborhoods, or Black mothers dying at 8 times the rate of white mothers in childbirth, like really heartbreaking numbers, then as someone who wants to make things better, it's like you can make that better, I feel like relatively quickly if you invest, because you can see that just the gaps are so enormous, and so you can make a big difference if you try and address it.
Absolutely. And part of our plan is to actually require, Andrew, as you said, the mandate of one of the largest health departments in the country, the mandate to be closing racial equity gaps in healthcare. And there's no better place to do it here in New York City. The size of our healthcare infrastructure is enormous, and we know that racial equity in particular has to be part and parcel of that. And this has been started in some ways in fits and starts in New York. There's been already some great work that the New York City Department of Health has done towards racial equity. We had a Center on Health Equity through previous leadership at DOH, and there's no time like right now that can demonstrate how important that equity strategy. It's not sort of something that sits in a box and is one or two people's job. It's a system-wide mandate, and that's the lens that we're going to make sure is front and center in your administration. So we're really excited to lead with that lens.
So one thing I was talking about that was painful to admit, Sasha, and would love to talk to you about this, maybe even flesh it out a little bit. So you have this vaccine rollout that people are finding very, very frustrating. And then you look and say, okay, like white people are disproportionately getting vaccinated. And then it struck me that there are a number of structural reasons why that would be the case. Like even if you were to roll it out, like quote unquote, like, equitably, white people would be more likely to have technological resources to be able to like book an appointment. They might be more trusting of the vaccine. They might be more willing to, they might have more time that they can like actually schedule. So if you were to do it equitably, you would wind up with a disproportionate, response among New Yorkers who just had a bit more in the way of resources. So if you want to keep that from happening, then in my mind, you would need to recalibrate and make it so that, frankly, like just the standards are different for neighborhoods that are predominantly Black and brown.
Yep. Equity as a strategy requires that we focus our attention where inequity has been the greatest. And so we double down in communities of color and ensure that folks that are credible and trusted healthcare providers, clergy, community leaders, folks that are continuing to lead their communities every day, especially through this pandemic, those are the folks that are the best messengers for vaccine access and continued vaccine trust. And at the same time that we pour resources into those neighborhoods in a way that is more so than what we're doing in communities that have access and have trust and have the technology to do it. Our strategy has to be where we know that we have done such a poor job, and this is generations, this is not new, this is generations of neglect of making sure communities of color, Black and Latino communities and Asian communities in New York City really have the support that they need. And so we start where the disparity is the greatest, and we trust the leadership on the ground who knows their communities best, knows the messages that are going to resonate the most, understands the nuance and how we deliver a message that the public health department might say in a universal way. Actually, on the ground, it has to look a little bit different. So we trust that leadership. You tweeted earlier today, the people closest to the pain know the solutions the best. They know what works. And so let's trust that leadership in doing that. And across the board, umbrella solution, it's not going to work because folks with the most access will, again, benefit the most. That's not our intent. So I'm excited to make sure that equity is through and through in our continued rollout of exciting and necessary and urgent policy change for your administration.
Yeah, me too, Sasha. Again, wise and smart. And to me, like Sasha points out, some of the opportunities that we have to do the most good most immediately.
Look, you're so lit up, Sasha, talking about it. You are definitely a policy person.
He's very, very wonky. I thought I was wonky. I think Sasha out wonky.
I know. For Andrew Yang to tell me that I'm
like
wonky.
a moderately high bar.
Their levels.
For sure. I love the tone of all of this. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that we're taking this head on. I'm very excited.
Me too. Let's give it up to Sasha. Check her out on Twitter. It sounds like it's at AHUJI. You can find her pretty easily.
You.
Again, you all are very smart.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
so between Chris and Sasha, we feel very, very like well-directed, very, very expert. And you can see, I think this might be some people's first exposure to you, Sasha. So I hope everyone's excited.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you so much for having me, folks.
Yes.
Of course. Thank you.
Here.
Yeah,
Talk
really.
to
Every
you
day.
soon.
Every day.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Yes. And everyone, don't forget yangforny.com/donate. Please send in your donations. We're going to do another call.
Yeah, let's talk about this for just a minute. So yangforny.com, donate really $10 to me is like the magic number. If you're watching this, you haven't donated $10, please just donate $10. If you do, it's going to be great. But we also do have this fun prize that unlocks at 150K. And I got to say, it's pretty good. We wanted to do something that actually people would enjoy. So I think people would enjoy
Sure. Help unlock that because I want to see it too.
Oh yeah, you might have seen it. I think I was privy to it.
Yeah.
One of those things. Who is this?
So we have her name is Silkia, and she is a teacher in the Bronx, and she's watching the live stream right now. So I am going to unmute her. Hi there.
Hi Silkia, how are you?
Hi, Andrew.
It's so great to be talking to you. Thank you so much for donating and for letting us call you.
Absolutely. I actually FaceTime with you on Thursday because my husband was on 149th Street.
I remember that. He was such a nice guy. What a nice guy he was. I remember beaming in to see you. It's so great to talk to you again.
Same here.
You see that, folks? Like just being out and about. Like, I ended up talking to Silkia's husband, who then just picked up the phone and FaceTime Silkia, and now we're just getting out and about. You end up reaching people in unexpected ways. Yay! So, what grade level do you teach, Silkia?
So I'm a high school teacher. I teach
Oh, wow. The kids are big. So if you're a high school teacher, 9 through 12, like, is there a particular subject they have you do?
Right now I'm a instructional coordinator. So I teach the AVID class, which is a college and career readiness program at our school. So we're really pushing our kids just to be self-advocates and just prepare for life after high school.
That's so important. I love that stuff, Silky. That
Life
stuff might be the
skills.
most important of all.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, so right now, like my big push is getting my graduates to vote and to make sure that they're registered. So that's really my push for your campaign, because a lot of my friends live in Westchester, so it's hard to get the adults, but a lot of my kids are still in the Bronx, so I'm definitely going to push that. That's my goal.
I love it. Get them to vote for sure. You know, there have been studies, Silkia, that the earlier someone first vote is, the more likely they are to become a lifetime voter. So you're going to make a huge difference for these kids.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know, Silky, I'm going to ask you something, because during my presidential campaign, I actually championed lowering the voting age to 16, in part because I thought you'd get more high school kids into it. And my argument was that 16-year-olds can drive a car, they pay taxes, they should have a right in where their taxes go. They often are as informed as anyone else. So you see these kids every day. What do you think about this policy that I was for?
Well, we have tons of kids who are, right now we have like an advocacy after school program, and we have tons of kids who really have a passion and they want their voice to be heard, and they feel kind of that their only real way of making a difference is to talk to their parents and maybe like adults. But I think if they had a bigger voice, they certainly would be more involved in local politics and things like that. It's that affects them directly.
Yeah, I'm glad you're favorable. You know, I mean, the fact is our electorate skews kind of old for a variety of reasons. And so if you could balance it out in some way, I think it'd be very positive. And it would energize young people because instead of trying to convince their parents, they could just do it themselves. Congratulations to you, Silky. You do such important work every day. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm like ecstatic. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm so surprised. My girls are here and they're super gang.
Hello. Yeah, say hello. Say hello. At this point, I've met your dad and your mom, sort of.
So I'm hoping that you have a super successful campaign. I'm going to be with you, like, through the ride in the next 4 years, hopefully, and get these kids back to school, like 100%.
Yeah, let's, and this is something I'm very passionate about. So, like, we should be fighting harder to reopen schools. And I say this as a public school parent. I say this as someone who's looked at the data, and the data does not show that young children spread the coronavirus in any large measure. Yeah, anyway, like, I think we should be fighting harder to reopen schools. It's mission critical. Like, the kids who are suffering the most are the kids who can least afford to be out of school. You know, so it's really an epic failure for so many families. We should just be fighting harder. Certainly, if I were to prioritize schools for young kids first, schools for more at-risk and vulnerable populations first. And I'm sure that there are any number of teachers who would want to teach in person because, you know, they miss it. They miss their kids. They're young, they're healthy, they're not at risk. I mean, if you're a teacher that's at risk and you want to opt out, that's totally fine. But like in my mind, like, we should be fighting harder for our kids.
Agreed. Well, very well said, as always.
Oh, well, thank you, Silkia. Say hello to your girls for me. Say hello to your very lucky husband for me. And hopefully I will see you again on like this campaign very soon.
Absolutely. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, the whole family.
I love that. So that was great. Oh, the teachers, what they've been doing through this pandemic, and just piling on top of it the issues that were there before the pandemic.
So here's what I'm seeing with the teachers. Honestly, it's like the teachers, either they're teaching online, which is pretty, like, both difficult and, you know, not fun, or I think in many cases they're just cut off from their kids.
Yeah.
So, you know, you put teachers in that boat. I mean, a lot of them, I think, would much rather be, like, able to do their jobs in various ways. Yeah, it's a very, very tragic time, and you know, I see so many families struggling.
I do have some questions that have come in from
Sure.
the live stream.
Sure, yeah. Hello, live stream
Hi,
people.
live stream. Thanks for hanging in there. And don't forget to donate.
We only take questions from donors. I actually don't know if that's true. I'm just joking.
I don't know if that's true either, but we're gonna. Hopefully, it's true.
Hopefully, it's true. Tell you what, if we answer your question, you haven't donated. You probably should.
Probably
you probably should just donate $10.
Yes.
Just saying. Just
Especially
saying.
if you're in New York.
Just saying.
All
Seems
right.
fair.
This one is from Linda, and she says, "Hi, Andrew. Any thoughts on how to tackle the issue with lack of heating in the NYCHA buildings? Seen a lot about it in the news lately."
Yeah, I saw it up close and personal the other day when I was at a NYCHA facility downtown, where their plumbing didn't work. Not their plumbing, their heat didn't work for a couple of months. Can you imagine trying to get through these winters without heat? So that to me is like one of these like mission critical, non-negotiable fixes you need. Can't have people literally freezing in their apartments. And the tough part about the NYCHA disrepair is that you're short $30 to $40 billion, the numbers I've seen, in terms of trying to keep the buildings in good repair. A lot of them are quite old. They're like struggling in various ways. So you either, in my mind, try your best to get the 30 to 40. And you don't need 30 to 40 billion to keep the heat on. Like these are different things. You should be able to keep the heat on regardless. I mean that's not like that's not a tens of billions problem. That's like a like low millions system wide. But bigger picture, you need to try and activate billions of dollars in resources to update and repair and maintain these structures. And the most natural source of that money is going to be the federal government. So we're going to try our best in that direction. And my campaign co-chair, Richie Torres, is very much a champion of these issues because I believe he grew up in a NYCHA facility and now he's in the Congress trying to make this happen. So I'm going to be his ally and partner in this because it's just unacceptable that folks are living in apartments that don't have heat or have other problems. There's like an apartment that had a fire in it, and then the person's still living in the apartment that has fire damage. Like I've seen these situations, and it's really, really unacceptable.
Yeah, very difficult.
Hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers in these and walking these like these NYCHA housing grounds. It's interesting. Like when I was in Brownsville, there were 6 NYCHA facilities all kind of facing each other, and then there's like a neighborhood like in between, and so there were like almost this like central meeting ground relative to the. And one of the people told me about how they shut down a particular project and then distributed people to other NYCHA facilities. Okay. And I thought like, wow, it's probably completely disrupting any kind of community you had there because like if you're a kid and you're probably friends with other kids and then like you all just get broken up. So there are hopefully ways that we can help make the situation better by starting with the most mission critical things first, like heat.
Yeah. So I do have another question for you, and I have to say I'm partial to this, being an artist myself. From James, art is an essential and integral part of society and culture. What would you do to bring artists back and keep them supported in the city?
Wow, it's like you're speaking for James and yourself.
And myself. Yeah.
To me, the arts and creative industries are core to what makes New York, New York. And it's not a nice to have, it's actually like a key economic driver. If you were to look at just the most basic numbers, Broadway, which is not quite what you guys are asking about, but I'm just going to use it as an example because I know the numbers. So Broadway gets 14 million visitors a year and supports 87,000 jobs that are everything from security guards and ushers to performers and set design and everything else. So that there's like a massive economic driver, but the economic driver oftentimes is actually this quality of life improvement for the city that actually keeps people here and paying a premium to be here, frankly, in many cases. One number that really struck me a while ago was that artists have the same impact on an economy as entrepreneurs do. That if you have a group of artists who move to a community, then that community's property values will rise. So it behooves one to then try and attract artists. And so then you have to ask, well, what are artists attracted to? And artists are attracted to a creative environment, but they're also attracted to low costs in terms of housing. Like, you just want to be able to live somewhere and do your work and the rest of it. So there's an affordable housing crisis in New York City, and we have to do our best to bring that down for everybody. But I actually think that artists may be like an individual population that you'd want to do something specific for, where you could have, for example, like an artist in residence, like in like different developments, and just say like we're going to like cordon off like specific housing opportunities for artists. I think that's actually worthwhile. I want to do something that's like 1,000 artists, or 10,000 artists. We might have a technical problem. Let's ask John.
I think
it might be like a battery issue. I think we might have lost people.
The battery on the.
Oh, thank you for saying so.
Everyone. Thanks for hanging in there while we figure out the technical difficulties.
Look at this. It went from a live stream video to
very
like a live stream only audio. It's a blackout. No, it's not a blackout in the sense that actually lights are on here and everything's fine. So someone's swapping out the battery. We should be back in a minute.
Yep. I can ask you another question while we're waiting, since we're off camera.
Maybe I can visualize what we're doing. So I am hanging from the ceiling, and then I'm doing jumping jacks, and then I'm doing some of those handstand push-ups where, when like you're doing a handstand and then doing push-ups.
Wow, amazing, Andrew.
And I'm changing outfits while.
I can't believe the camera went out now.
I know.
People can only see this.
And I'm while I'm doing handstand push-ups, I'm switching outfits. This is the kind of mayor New York City needs, is someone who can accomplish such incredible physical feats while stalling for time.
While we're stalling for time, exactly. I could ask a question if you
want. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So let's see here. From Tamim, how will you make biking more safe in the city? And we're back.
It looks like we're halfway back.
We're getting.
Look at that. We're back. Oh, you guys missed all of my feats of strength. It's too bad. So I'm very passionate about getting bike safety up and really making the city as bikeable as it can be. So to me, one of the core aspects of New York City is that it has to be a place where you can live without needing to own a car. I would actually suggest that New York City is singular in the States as a place you can live for decades and not own a car and be perfectly functional. That was my situation from 1996 to 2005. I moved here when I was 21, and then I did not buy a car until I was 40. And it was really a very difficult decision. I mean, for most of my time in the city, I couldn't afford a car because cars are like super expensive, and you have to like pay for parking and all this stuff. And I was like, that sounds freaking super terrible. Crazy. It's like the parking spot seemed like another rent. Like I was like, no way. So there's a long-winded way of saying like I believe in bikeability at a very high level, and I biked my boys to school for a number of years until they got too big for the bike seat, and that was a very sad day for me. So how do we make it more bikeable? So you have to set up bike lanes that actually work. And when I say work, right now it's a lot of painted strips, and the painted strips are better than nothing. But one thing that helps make the painted strips safer is like at a minimum, those little like floppy pole barriers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where if you fall over. Yeah, if you're a car, you're still not going to drive over the like floppy poles. And then the other thing is you have to try to enforce trucks that park in the bike lanes, which happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I've been in a bike lane countless times where I'm like, oop, there's a car parked in the bike lane. And so then you're like, I guess I'm going to swerve around this car now. And then you're going to swerve into a place that's not the bike lane, which theoretically is is traffic. And so they've been, actually, I'm going to go through this because people, have lived this any number of times. Do you know when you're on your bike and you have to make that split-second decision, am I going to swerve into traffic because I trust that there is not a car there and maybe I've glanced or I've looked at my little rear view mirror, or am I going to be cautious and like slow down and, you know, really make sure that this is cool.
And do you have time to do that?
Has anyone else had like these split second decisions? Have you?
Yes, it's
You know what I'm
horrifying.
talking
You're
about?
like, it's terrifying.
You're like, I'm there, oh, there's a truck, and I think I'm fine. Like, will I swerve?
Yeah.
And like, so when I first started riding a bike around the city years ago, especially when I had a kid on the back, I was like, I am going to be cautious. But then in that split second, a lot of the times you just are like, there's not a car and I'm fine. And so you do it. But there is like this tiny moment of fear, right? Like fear that like fills you when you like when you do the swerve, you're like you know, it's like you know, let's do this thing and it's gonna be fine. So the answer really is to start enforcing bike lanes, particularly that have posed safety hazards if someone's parked there.
Yeah.
So there is precedent for this, where there are bus lanes that are enforced by camera in the city. And so you should have high traffic bike lanes that have posed safety issues enforced by camera as well. And then after a little bit, like the, you know, cars and trucks would be like, oh, I guess I can't park there because, you know, there's a sign that says enforced by camera. And then if you ignore it, you get a ticket. And then, you know, then over time, the bike lane gets clearer. So genuine separation, more bike lanes, and enforcement where it poses a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Pretty, you know, it's pretty straightforward. As a bicyclist, I feel your pain.
For real.
I didn't know you bike as well.
I do. I find it terrifying to bike in the city. I'm gonna have to get used to that.
Yeah, when I first started biking in the city, I was like, you know, again, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna like really, really take it slow.
Yeah.
And that lasted literally like about a day. And then after that, I was like, you know.
Yeah. Helmets, essential.
I mean, definitely helmets. Definitely helmets.
So we are really at the top of the hour now. So it's time to wrap it up. And
was that an hour? That's the craziest thing ever.
Hour.
All right. So if you are watching this, please, again, do chip into the campaign. It means a ton to us. $10. Bug a couple friends. Say, hey, let's help get New York City back on its feet. Like tell them, look, just donate to Yang for NY. It'll make you feel better. And I'm actually going to say something crazy.
Uh-oh.
Even if they like another candidate, you could be like, just give $10 to Yang anyway, because it's a ranked choice voting election. And, you know, it's like people can have second choices, you know, like, let's just like get people. I actually think that's not going to be necessary, because the fact is, like, you know, most people would be perfectly happy to donate to me.
Yeah.
Like, da-da-da.
Yeah.
But this is really like the kind of election where, you know, like small dollar donations can actually go to multiple candidates, because you're looking at ranked choice, and it's like, hey, look, you know, it's like I'm your first choice, great. I'm your second choice, you know, still might be worth $10. Keep that third choice person from winning, because you know you can't stand that third choice person. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That third choice person's terrible.
No, he's not. He's playing. He's totally playing.
I'm just kidding around, but it's sort of funny.
It is funny. It's very funny.
Oh,
and also, if you want to become, if you think that you're a super fundraiser, you can also get your own link. If you go to yforny.com/fundraise and get your own link that you can post on your own social media, and you can.
Do you get prizes and stuff if you do a good job there?
Yeah.
At a minimum, I'll call you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that might not be enough for some of you.
Today, we could.
Yeah, certainly if you
happen.
do some fundraising, make that happen. So that's y4ny.com and then /fundraise.
Yep. And
who doesn't want their own link? Who doesn't want to keep score?
Absolutely.
You know, we're very much like a results-oriented culture.
We sure are. And you get your own page to see your progress. You can see how, you know, what you're racking up.
I will definitely call anyone who's performing on that one. You know,
yeah,
like,
let's make that happen.
I won't only just call you. I'll call someone else you asked me to call. It'll be like, you know, like a twofer. Like,
I love it.
For folks who fundraise in that. Like,
he said it here. It's going to happen.
Oh, it'll definitely happen. I'd be very happy to. Because this is a race, really. The scale of it is that anyone can make a big difference. And like anyone who makes a big difference, I'm going to be very happy to call. And I'll call whoever you ask me to call. Be fun.
I love it.
Record a video. Great. We'll do whatever you want. I am yours to command. That's the kind of mayor.
That's right. He's a servant of the people. That's what we do here.
You know, I hope to be a champion of the people. The people's champion. Like
all sounds good.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, I guess it's time to say goodbye.
Bye,
This is
everyone.
hard.
Thank you so much.
We enjoy this
This
very
was a blast.
much.
We'll do it again soon.
For real.
But only if you donate. If you don't donate, then we'll be like, this was a dud. We'll never do it again.
Yes, we got a goal to hit. Tonight is it.
Tonight is
make
it. Let's
happen.
go. Thank you all
right.
so much.
All right.